Interesting story about Munish. He was with us when we first launched Envision. In fact, he was in charge of the development team. And then he went off and he got his MBA and he worked for Dell and he did some really great things in the marketing arena. And then we were very fortunate last year that he came back to join our organization and has so much of the history of Envision. So he's now the general manager of our tech products group, which includes Envision. And he's going to share with us today some of the things we've done to enhance the product over the last year, as well as, more importantly, a new design that's being rolled out, and then some of the future items on the product roadmap. I think a couple of important things to keep in mind is through that industry downturn, we did not do a lot to the product. We kind of kept it in motion, if you will, and it's really this time for a rebirth. One, customers have completely changed. How they interact online has completely changed, so that's certainly driving it, but then all of you as well. The industry's ready for it. Consumers are really ready for it, so we're pretty excited that we're going to take it to the next level. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Munish, and he will take us through what they've done and then what they're going to be doing.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Melissa. Can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure I'm talking loud enough. Over on the back? Okay, that's good. In there. I need to make sure I looking in the front and there. All right. So I'm actually here to kind of talk about Envision, and as Melissa was talking about, I manage actually multiple products, including Envision. But Envision is actually near and dear to my heart. Back actually when I was at BHI, I was actually developing that, and when I left it, I was like, okay, I'm not able to see that actually through, but I'm so glad to be back to be able to driving Envision and helping everybody actually use it in there. So just a kind of a brief agenda of what I'm going to be talking about. So a brief overview of Envision. I think most of you are pretty much experts in Envision by now in there, but I'll just briefly actually talk about that. Talk about what we have been doing in 2017, this year. What are some of the changes which we have done, which will bring us into the new user interface for the design portal, which we are actually rolling out in there. And then finally, I'm going to end with, what are our plans actually for the next year and going forward in there. So some really exciting stuff in there. So just briefly, right, Envision, what is Envision? So it's very, very simple. I look at it, this is a digital experience platform, right? This is actually your digital platform for your buyers, right? You guys are selling, homes and all the different options in there. This is a way for you to be able to bring them actually into the digital world and be able to do that. And then once you do that, there are a whole bunch of benefits which you actually see with that, right? In terms of customer experience, in terms of, selling more options, efficiency of the design center. But all said and done, the most important thing is the digital experience, and this is where it's not even a nice to have. This is something which the consumers are expecting that, in this day and age in there. So, in terms of Envision, so what is, there are 4 different pieces actually of Envision for different folks in there. The first product is the product manager, which is basically used by the manufacturers in there. So they are the ones who are providing the data actually into the tool, which is used by everybody in there. And then there's a tool for options manager, which is used by the builders in there, where builders actually, the purchasing team specifically, they can enter options in there. And both of those tools are available to them, but they don't necessarily have to use them, because if you're integrated through the backend systems, then all the data actually comes in, and you don't never actually have to use the systems in there. So the other piece is the design center manager. This is where the designers work in the tool every single day to be able to manage their buyers, right? The buyers who are coming in, looking at what the buyers actually have done over there, what is in their wish list, and helping them prepare for the design appointment. One thing I want to make is that Envision is the digital kind of experience, But again, that does not replace the design center appointment, right? It is actually helping in the preparation of the design center, and that's what we talked about, where it's helping out in the efficiency of the design center, where either you can actually save time in there, or in the 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours design center appointment, now you can actually go through a lot of your options with the consumers in there. And then finally, the fourth tool, right, which is it's all about where the buyers or our consumers can log in and look at all the different options which are available in there, or any other, kind of all the options which are available in the tool. Look at their pricing, again, in the comfort of their home, looking at the data which is directly coming from the manufacturers who know all about their products in there, and in hopefully all the rich data which is actually coming from the manufacturers, including pictures and videos in there, and essentially, understanding their needs and selling themselves on what is actually best for them, what is best for their lifestyle, and actually work for in their new home in there. So I'm not going to go through all of that, but again, there are a lot of several builders which are actually already using Envision in there. Shows actually all of them actually over there. And then I think most of them are actually in the room, including some of the prospects. So our goal was to be able to get everybody together so that you can, if you're not using Envision today, you can talk to some of the people who are using Envision. So you can actually learn more about that and how it actually helps in there. Again, so we have about 250,000 plus products in our Envision database. So this is the key content which drives Envision in there. So all the rich data which is coming from manufacturers in there, it's all available to you, which allows you to kind of go through all of the options in there. So Envision, right? When we talk about Envision, we mostly talk about the design center, right? Of course, it helps you in the preparation of the appointment. That is the steps number 3 and 4, right? We talk about that all day, and that's very, very critical in there, right? But then, again, right, as Tim was talking about in the buyer journey, the times have changed where the consumers are expecting to see options even before they purchase a home. They want to see, when they buy that particular home, what options are going to be available, right? And there are some builders which are actually which are taking advantage of this opportunity incredibly well. They actually invite customers to their design centers and show them all the options which are available, not only in the tool, but in the design center itself in there. So they do a great job in there, and this is what the customers are expecting in there. And what we have actually seen is that some of the builders, this also becomes a lead generation tool. So when you send customers who actually haven't signed up, they go into the Envision tool and they start to create their wish list in there. This becomes a lead generation tool. And these are your potential buyers, which we have seen are very, very interested. They are the ones who have already, which Tim was talking about, where they are kind of ready to sign in on the dotted line and they're ready to buy their home. And we have seen some data from our customers where they have said that some of these leads which are generated from the Envision, they convert as high as 25 to 30%, compared to a normal lead in there. There's a huge improvement actually in there. And then the last piece over there is after the home closing. So once the home actually closes, all of these options, everything which the buyer actually has selected, all that complete portal is actually available to you so that you can look at all the options, everything in your home, later on. And typically, right, you never actually need it, but then when something actually, when there's a problem in there, you're like, oh my God, what was the exact color of the carpet which I had installed, or what was the exact tile in there? I want to figure that out, or what was the model number of any appliance, and all that information is available to you. So these are some of the key kind of, what we call the buyer engagement metrics in there. So what we have seen is that the builders who have implemented it, Envision, and they are going through all the best practices in the design centers in there, when they give customers, buyers, login into Envision, 90% plus people end up actually using Envision. So again, this again goes back to our basic premise that buyers are ready for it, right? They want something in a digital format where they can sit down in the comfort of their home and look at Envision. And not only are they logging in, they are spending, on an average, they are spending 4+ hours in the tool. We have seen some of the builders where they are spending 7-8 hours, up to 12 hours in the tool before they come into the design center in there. So this is all the time where buyers are selling themselves, and they are actually preparing for it before they come into the design center in there. And one of the things which I actually love to mention is that, right, we always talk about when the buyers come into the design center, there could be potential conflict between spouses in terms of what they want to buy. So one of the best things I've heard is that the design center managers, they are the best marriage counselors in there, and they actually do a great job on that, but they don't necessarily want to do that. So this helps in that perspective as well. And then the lastly, right, which is again very, very important, right, and as the margins, as the competition is actually growing, what you see is that as the buyers are looking at Envision, they are selling themselves more. On an average, we see they are buying more options. There's a 30% increase in the number of options when we compare to people who have used Envision versus people who have not used Envision. And I think everybody knows that the margin of the options is higher than the margin actually in the old home, in the existing home. So that definitely helps in the bottom line over there, in there. So now kind of moving over to what we have been actually working on. So most of the features which we have been working in 2017, they are all directly based on our customer feedback, right? We have been working on visualization in there. Right? Visualization is something which we literally heard from customers, I think maybe the first week or even while we were actually building Envision. People were like, yeah, we want to be able to display all the options, but there has to be a way to visualize what those options look like in your kitchen or in your bathroom and in there. And the challenge always over there was, how do you bring up a technology which actually not only looks good, but is also cost-effective within Envision. So now we have been actually able to do that, and this is actually available kind of as of right now. And I will talk a little bit more about visualization in there. Options Manager. Options Manager, we have started to see where builders are starting to deploy iPads in their design center. And so we actually redid our application to be completely supported within the iPads in there. The third one is interesting. We have, right from the back, we had a whole bunch of reporting. We have, I think, probably 50+ reports in Envision, which literally you can, extract out whatever you want in there. But all those reports were very kind of PDF reports, not very sexy, very simple data in there. So everybody was like, okay, we would like to actually see the new dashboards in there where not only you can see the data, you can see the data visually in there. So we have actually included some of the dashboards in there, and I have some actually screenshots for that in there. And then, we have been incrementally making, improvements in our buyer portal, and then the new portal design, which we have been working on throughout the year, which I'm going to be talking about in there. So very briefly about the reporting. So we have actually added reporting in all of our applications in there. This is actually an example of reporting in the DCM, Design Center Manager, where again, you can go into the dashboard and you can actually look at visually how many homes were created, how many options are we selling in there. Again, a very visual representation of what you already, what the data shows. That way, on a day-to-day basis, you can actually just quickly go in there. It's like this month, how many homes I created, what am I doing, is there a major drop from month to month, or anything else which is happening in there. The same thing is available in the product manager, where you can look at all the products which you have in the system, how many of these products are actually being used by the builders in there. And then something which is even more important is the product data quality. So we actually have added, in terms of your product, what are the attributes of the products which you are actually currently sending in there, and you can very quickly get a graphical representation of, okay, where your current data product data is. And then finally, in the options manager, again, all the options which you have in the system in there, by different categories in there, so that you can, again, have a very quick representation of, what exactly you are selling. How do you, the goal over here is to be able to, essentially optimize your options portfolio, right? What is selling, what is not selling, right? You want to replace something which is not selling by, something which is actually more optimized in there, just like a retail merchandising store where you are looking at, what is the most important thing which you want to put it in your shelf in there. So I'm going to talk about visualization. So this is basically the visualizations which is actually available in the tool in there. And again, right, this is actually the difference I was talking about. This is not, you will see a lot of different visualizations, in the market, but they are mostly based on marketing. They're mostly for marketing purposes, where they will show you generically what are the options which offer. This is our attempt to be able to integrate this visualization directly into Envision based on the options which are available for that particular home in there. And because we do that, with Envision in there, this is the, this is the visualization which is rendered on the fly, right? Where, as you are actually selecting the product in there, it's dynamically changing the thing in there. So once you go into the room in there, you select all the options in there, all the options show up. You simply actually click on, hardwood floor or a tile which is available over there, and it actually renders that particular, kind of page in there, and you can look at exactly how the kitchen will look like, and the quality is very good actually in there. The other feature, if you think about it, right, what we have added in there, where, where once you actually create a particular scene in there, you can actually save that particular scene. So if you actually created some combinations which you like in there, you can save that particular scene so that you can share that. You can even print it. You can share that with your family. You can share that with your friends to see, okay, how does actually that look? You can get a third party, different opinion from your friends and everything in there. And as you can save multiple of those combinations, and that way you can play around with it, see what you like, see what is actually are the different options. And everything which you are doing over there, or as you save the scenes, all of that is available to the designers, right? So when you come in for a design appointment, you can start to actually, designers can take a look at what did you create, and if you're happy with one of that, all of those options are available over there. And you can add them directly to your wish list, and you can select them in there, and you can play around with all of that. So it's a very, very easy tool to use, integrated into Envision in there, and all it involves is actually a setup with the particular room view, with your options in there, and we can set it up for you. The other thing in the visualization, as we are starting to do visualization, this is another thing about the data in there. So so as we actually go into the visualization, we will actually be needing even richer data from our manufacturers in there, because at the end of the day, right, what we want to do is be able to get those swatches and get those stains actually from the manufacturers in the digital format, so that we have it in there. And the faster we are able to do that, the faster we are able to set up those scenes within Envision. Because currently, majority of the time it takes us to create a visualization in there is to be able to go out on the internet and to be able to search for high quality pictures from the manufacturer websites and everything in there. So this is something which we are going to be adding in our data spec, and we're going to be releasing it in Q1, so that we can actually start to collect that data. That way we can actually start to incorporate all of that in our visualizations in there. Okay, so now I'm going to be talking about the new design for the buyer portal, which I think everybody has been kind of very interested in. So we started this process like almost even more than a year back in there. So this is something we have been talking about that. And then if you look at the current buyer portal, this was our first version of the buyer portal, and we have been making incremental improvements into this buyer portal every single year, right? So every time, right, we will get feedback from our customers. We have been making incremental improvements in there, trying to make it better. But we really knew that, okay, we really need to go back and we need to completely redesign this in there. And if you really look at, in the last few years, as we have gone into mobile, right, as the computers actually have become faster, as the download speeds actually have increased, the complete principles of UX design, they have gone through a complete transformation, right? You look at the websites today, or if you look at the older website, right, everybody was like, okay, we don't want to put too many images in there. The page is going to go too heavy. If you look at the newer websites, it's all about hero images, the big images actually in there. That's kind of what the design is. You look at the videos, right? You look at some of the newer websites, the videos are playing in the background, where you're looking at the content and the video is playing. This is what Tim was actually talking about earlier. How do we actually create a visual story, right, where we are actually showing to our buyers, where we are engaging them more and more? The other kind of trends which you see in the industry are animations, right? So it's not like you click on a page and you wait for 5 seconds to be able to load up, and now you completely forgot where you were, what you started with. Very dynamic animations which tell you exactly what you are when you hover over something in there. So parallax effects, right? These are some of the things which are actually going on in the UX design. In fact, people have gone as far as to say that the UX is actually the new basis for competition between the companies. The UX is very, very important, and UX is what drives the customer experience. It's the most important thing which is going to drive the companies going forward in there. The other thing which we see is very rich colors on all the websites in there, where the brands are actually defining colors based on what they want to project in there. So there are different colors in there. So complete UX actually has been changing in there. And what you see is that, based on all these changes, the visual layout, right, or the visual taxonomy is really the new design, right? That's how people are actually starting to do that. And if you look at the visual design, one of the designs which has done that very well is the tile-based design. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with it, but the tile-based design where you're starting to show tiles on the website, and that's kind of how the websites are actually driven. And you see that across all the major brands where people are starting to do that. And one of the key websites which has actually popularized the tile-based design is which you're all familiar with, is Pinterest, where Pinterest actually has shown us how to navigate the web using a complete visual design, visual merchandising in there. And people are used to it. I mean, everybody's familiar with how Pinterest actually has grown, how much popular has become, it has kind of broken up all the different metrics in there, lots of different users in there. So we wanted to use actually a design, a methodology which people are already used to. So we actually went with the tile-based design over there. And the way we started off with the design is that we didn't want to just slap something together very quickly. We wanted to make sure that this is something which makes sense, which is appealing to our customers in there. So we actually went with the kind of agile-based design. We actually created multiple versions of the design. We showed it to our customers. We showed it to our employees. We showed it to our buyers to get some feedback from them on, does it actually look right? Does it look wrong? Does it look different? How does it actually make sense in there? So, and once we created the things, we created literally the mock-ups and actually the working designs before we went into engineering in there. And after that, actually, we said, okay, we will actually go into engineering, start to create it in there. And so this is a complete kind of an iterative process which we are actually going through to be able to create the new design in there. So want to kind of show you kind of the new design where we are actually with that. And in there, so I'm going to play a quick video, which is actually going to show you a brief demo of that. And I will be able to point out certain things actually in there. So this is actually the home page for the new design in there. And as you can see, right, this page is completely customizable in there. just like actually currently the way it is in there. On the top is the complete builder masthead. On the left-hand side is actually the menu, and as you can see, as you hover over, there are animations actually in the menu over there. So as you actually click on the design studio in there, that's when you start to go into your categories in there. So a complete visual design actually based on the categories in there. So this is the visual design which I was talking about, the visual way to be able to see the different categories. You see all the different icons, you see all the animations on the categories in there, so you know exactly where you are. And once you click on the category in there, now you're able to see exactly visually which category you have selected, where you are. You look at all the option in there, you look at the detail of the option, the modal actually shows up, and you know exactly where we are. And you click on any of the product in there, it has all the rich information, whether it's videos, whether it's pictures in there. You are able to add stuff into the favorites right from that particular page in there. You can add actually comments in your wish list in there, and actually save those comments. You are able to see that right there within the same page while you are actually working on it in there. And again, you click on the modal and you come back to exactly where you were. So you don't lose a place on, okay, which category was I working with, which not. And it's currently showing the compare option. You can look at the 3 options, compare them side by side to exactly see what is the difference between the 3 options and why I should upgrade in there. And then you again click back on the category and you go back into the same page in there. And now it's actually going to show you a different category in there, the cabinets category. And this is where you click on the bathroom cabinets, it shows you all the levels of cabinets in there. And when you click on it, it will show you the actual cabinet and see what difference it makes in the content when you have full-size images of the cabinets, not just a small swatch of the cabinet. This is the complete image in there. And it has images of not only the thing, but also the in situ images. Right? You want to see how the cabinet looks when you see it in the entirety of a room in there. So once you actually go back in there, and then the last piece of the thing is it's going to show you the favorites, which is your wish list. Again, you can have multiple wish lists, just like in the current thing in there. And all the wish lists are designed exactly. They are organized the same way. On the top of the category, it shows you the number of options, the total price of the options in there, what you have selected. And you go in there and you can look at what you have selected in the wish list. Very simple design, which people have already seen, and to go into the wish list. And you click on it and you'll be able to see the modal to be able to go back in there. The next thing is the confirmed selections which you have already confirmed. And this is where you directly look at the products which you have seen in there. You can filter it by a particular category if you wanted to, or you can look at them. The total price is actually shown on the right-hand side, and you can decide to look at the details of that option. You can decide to look at the details in there, and you can print out not only the wish list, but the confirmed selections. That way, if you want a actual copy, you can actually look at it. This is the included feature screen, these are the standard options which are out there. A lot of people want to know what is included in there. And the last part was the features in there. What is the home? So this is our kind of where we are trying to go with on kind of more manufacturer branding into the design portal, where you can actually start to highlight what is included, what is actually my home built with, what are the products I'm building it, what are the quality products, quality brands which I'm building with, and show that actually to the customer in there. So that's a very, very quick demo in there. We have an Envision booth on the right-hand side, and you can actually stop by over there. Team will be able to show you the complete demo in there. So if you guys want to take a look at, have any more detailed questions on that, you will actually have a chance to be able to look at that in there. All right, so in terms of, okay, all that is great, but when is it coming, right, in there? So currently we are actually in the engineering phase. We are finished with several screens. Some of the screens still need to be completed in there. Our goal is that by the end of January, starting February, we will be able to release that, and we will be going into the user testing phase, where you guys will be able, it will be available to you. You guys, we can actually show it to you. You guys can testing with the users in there, and you guys can test it internally, able to play around with that. And our goal is that by March in Q1, we will be able to launch it for you. Now, even when we launch the new design portal, it will still be, our original portal is not going away, so there is no reason to worry about that. So you will be able to roll that slowly as you actually wish. So the way we are actually doing that is that not only in a community, but in each plan, you can decide to roll it out. So you can actually do a testing with a few homes, create some homes in there, do some testing in there, and roll it out that way. But we are sure that our customers, our buyers will actually love this new design, and this is what we are going for. All right. So this was a kind of a brief overview of what we have been actually working on in the last 1 year in there, and then I'm going to talk about what is in the place for next year and beyond, right? What is it that we are looking at? Where do we want to take Envision actually next? And given your feedback and everything. So these are some of the features which we have been actually hearing from all of you. As I've actually gone through, talked to our customers in there, these are some of the key features which I've heard from everybody, which will be really important in there. And I'm going to go through actually each one of them in there. So the number one is the IFP integration. IFP is the interactive floor plan in there. So when I've talked to the customers, people are, we would love to be able to integrate our existing floor plans into Envision. So you can start to navigate that. You can start to navigate into Envision through the interactive floor plan. Another thing which I've heard really big on interactive floor plan is when you're selecting your electrical options or you're selecting other things in there, a lot of time designers they take a piece of paper, print out with the floor plan in there, and they will mark where the electrical outlets or where the cable outlets, other things need to be in there. So this is actually our way by which we can actually provide that information, where you will be able to mark it electronically within the IFP tool and upload that along with the option in there. So this is one kind of a big thing which we have heard, which will be really important actually for that. The other big thing is the design center appointments. I think this is where I think people, I think there are certain builders who do the design appointment right at the time of sale and push it out, but some of them actually do it later. So people have actually asked that, okay, how can we use Envision to be able to set up actually a design appointment in there? So we would like to be able to provide actually something in there where the buyers will be able to create the appointment in there, and also they will be, if there are some changes in there, they will be able to make changes in there. It will be integrated with the internal kind of a calendar in there, where they will be able to take a look at. And this will actually also give designers ability to be able to now kind of see, okay, how long is the design appointment? Or I'm sorry, how far is the design appointment? And if the design appointment is coming in a week, now they will be able to take a look at their wish list for the buyer and say, has this buyer actually already gone through Envision? How much time have they spent? If they have not done that, let me remind them. Let me make sure they actually log in into Envision, go through all the options so that they're ready for the design appointment in there. So that's kind of another thing which we are actually trying to do. Flooring options, right? Flooring is actually a very interesting subject in there. We have had like long discussions with several builders in there, and what we have seen is that most of the builders do have a unique way of doing flooring in there. So one of the things which we have actually talked about is that when you are actually to make enhancements to our flooring options, where when you are selecting flooring, when you are selecting a tile, you will be also able to make additional selections in there, like grout, or maybe the orientation of the tile in there. This is kind of pretty complicated, where this is all done by the flooring calculator. We are not trying to go there yet, but at least as a first step, we are trying to put enhanced flooring options out there so that you are able to, you kind of use that actually more efficiently and go from there. Builder style quiz, where again, this is all about understanding your buyer, right? I think a lot of the builders actually already have some quizzes which they give it to their buyers, which helps them understand, okay, what is their taste? Are they looking for contemporary stuff? Are they looking for contemporary design, or are they looking for traditional design, or where exactly they are going from? So this is another way for us to learn more about the buyers and arm that information to our designers so that when they come into the design appointment, they know more about the buyers. They are more kind of educated actually about their thing in there. Buyer scrapbook. So buyer scrapbook is, if you think about even before, right? How do you even think of options? How do you even think I'm going to design my own home, right? So this is basically where you are in the ideation stage, right? Where you're trying to figure out what are the different options, how should I actually design my kitchen? What are the popular trends which are going on in the new kitchen design? This is the ability for the buyers to be able to kind of create a kind of a scrapbook kind of a thing with pictures, with ideas in there within Envision. That way they can start to ideate, they can start to think about what do I actually want to go towards in there, how do I want to design my new home in there, what are the trends which are going on. And then all of these are shared with the designer. That way designers can actually give them additional ideas or give them some more input into this particular design in there. Manufacturer catalogs. So as we actually talk to manufacturers and we have talked to the builders in there, right? Typically, manufacturers have a particular section or a particular portion of their catalog which they sell to the builders, right? And they will actually make certain products available in certain divisions in there. And typically, they don't have a good way, the manufacturers don't have a good way to be able to create that catalog, create that custom catalog for their builders and give it to them. Typically, it's a spreadsheet which is given out, and sometimes that spreadsheet changes and everything in there. So this is where, if we already have all the manufacturer data in there, we are able to create a custom catalog in PDF where they can actually give it to a division in the builder or even at the corporate level in there. They can create those catalogs in there and provide it for them in there. And this is another reason where, as we are actually adding more and more features for the manufacturers in there, this is going to be helping them think about providing more richer data, because they are now reusing the same data which they have provided not only for Envision, but for creating these catalogs as well. The manufacturer branding, I think Tim talked about actually a lot. There's a lot of opportunity for us to be able to further actually help the manufacturers brand their own kind of experiences within Envision in there. So we are looking for additional ideas on how we can actually do that more. And at least at a minimum, right, it's like we are already doing that with the included products. What are the products they are doing that? We are looking for additional information where there could be actually a page within the buyer portal where it displays all of the brands which builders are using. And the manufacturers have the ability to put some kind of additional video content and additional content in there to be able to highlight their brand so that customers are actually able to see what exactly does that brand represent in there. And then the gaming engine, right? I think this is actually kind of the latest kind of technology, the AR, VR, which we have been talking about. So we actually inside the company have been kind of investing a lot into the gaming engine. And our goal is to be able to, see how the customers, how the buyers are able to go through a home or go through actually a particular plan even before it's built. And they can literally put the AR, VR goggles in there, and they can literally experience their home before it's even built in there. So we have been spending actually a lot of resources actually on there. And what we want to do is, as a next step, we want to integrate that with Envision, right, in there. So we are going to be starting that actually next year in there. And where we look at this technology is that we think that in the next 12 to 18 months, this is going to be the de facto standard by which customers will essentially be selecting options. So essentially, they will be putting their goggles, or maybe they will be going through that experience through a tablet in there, and they will be walking around in the home. And as they walk around the kitchen, they actually select the flooring in there, they select the different options in there, and as they select it, it shows you actually right there what that flooring actually looks like. So as you're going through the home and customizing that in there, you are able to see that. And I actually have a quick kind of example of that, which kind of displays that in there. So you're going through the flooring options actually show up, and you select a different one, and it shows you actually right there in there. And you're walking through the option in there, you're going into the kitchen, looking at the cabinets, you're able to change the cabinet in there. I'm sorry, the countertop actually in there. And you go into the appliance, you look at it, you get all the information about this particular appliance actually in there. So that's all I have. Thank you for your time, and look forward to working with you guys.